Hey everyone, Steve here, back on the Scale Cajon Subdivision. Welcome back to the layout. This is going to be a quick layout update number 14 to close out November. To kind of cover what we've done for the months of October and November 2020. So I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, so in the last video, I had talked about installing this 12-volt power supply, and I've got that installed now. As you can see there in the back, that's my 12-volt power supply. Got it all wired up for the different voltages. I'm only using the 12-volt DC and the ground right now. And then I've also got a power switch for that right here that turns on the power to the 12-volt DC bus. So I've got all this on a surge protector, but I'll turn that on usually first. I'll give it a few seconds, and then I've heard stories about where DS64s don't, sometimes turning them on with Digitrack systems will kind of confuse the DS64s, so I've heard it's best to have them wired separately or like on a switch that's delayed. I don't know if it's true or not, so I did it anyway. And I wanted a way to be able to turn this off if I'm maybe not using the tortoises and DS64s. Maybe I'm just running trains on a continuous loop, then I can turn off the DS64s. But this is my power supply for my 12-volt DC system, and that turns on power to the power supply here, and which ultimately feeds my 12-volt DC bus, which goes to the tortoise switch machines on the DS64s and the RPC fascia controllers. And I'll show you those here in a few. And to power it down, I normally just power it down the opposite way. And then I've also got a surge protector here that at night I just turn this off when I'm not using it, and it kills power to all the power supplies and also the PM42, excuse me. So if I don't shut this off at night, the PM42, because one of these powers the PM42, actually remains on. So I go ahead and turn that off at the end of the night. Since we're down this end, let's go ahead and look at some of the other areas on the lower level. I've started working on the Union Pacific lower line that will come off the back side of the helix. And there's going to be a turnout here that there's a main line, and then there'll be a passing siding, and eventually that will come around into the lower level yard. So, and as you can see here, I've kind of got some turnouts mocked up. Haven't got them installed yet, but this would be like the Union Pacific coming into Colton Yard. I know it's not realistic, definitely not the size of Colton Yard, but it gives my Union Pacific trains a path to make it down to the yard. And then on the other side of that fascia is the BNSF main 3s that will come into San Bernardino. And someone was asking a little bit last time on how I was moving trains around here. And if you can kind of see in the back, there's 3 tracks. The one with the pins, that's main 3. I don't have that track yet in from that turnout where those pins are all the way down into the yard. But that's main 3, then main 2, then main 1 looking at you. And then that's my yard lead coming in. So you can kind of see that mains 1, 2, and 3 will kind of go. There's where main 3 temporarily ends. I've got to still put that in. I haven't really done it because I don't have the UP line in. So until I do, that's something I've still yet to do. But my BNSF mains will pass behind the main 3, 2, and 1 will be the farthest tracks. Then I've got 3 arrival departure tracks, which can come out here and jump on to main 1, or they can continue on this yard lead, depending on which route they take. And then I've also got a crossover here that off arrival departure track 1, the closest one can actually get out. So if we have 2 trains leaving at the same time, maybe one leaving off arrival departure 3 or 2, and the other one leaving off 1, I can get 2 out at the same time if needed. They just take different routes until they make it out onto the mains.
and then one would probably cross out over on the main 2 and the other stay on main 1. But somebody was asking about that. This is my main lead into the yard, and that's where, you know, it kind of branches off into the classification tracks. And so kind of looking down at the back of the layout, it's mains 3, 2, and 1. And then arrival tracks is going to be the auto rack is on arrival departure track 3, the tank train on arrival departure track 2, nothing's on arrival departure track 1. Then I have a yard lead that runs the length of the arrival departure tracks, and then it goes into classification 1, which has got the Golden West service tank box cars on it. Arrival departure track 2, or I'm sorry, classification track 2 with the 2 switchers. And then 3 is empty currently, 4 has got the hoppers, 5 is empty, 6 has got the reefers, 7 has got the tank cars, and 8 is the one I've just got soldered in and I just need to secure it down. That's the one with the pins. That's arrival departure track, classification track 8. And then I've got 9 and 10 that still need to go in. So that's kind of a, somebody was asking if I could kind of explain my yard a little bit more. But that's kind of my yard looking down from the San Bernardino end on this end. As you can kind of see, told somebody I'd kind of give them a nice overview of the track down here. So, all right, I hope that description of the east end of San Bernardino yard helps. Since we're down here on the east end, I've also got in 5 DS64s, and I've got those all wired up. You can actually see one of them right here. Those are all in via LocoNet, and they're actually wired to, I've got about 26, I think, turnouts down this end now that are all controlled by DS64s. That's the whole east end of this San Bernardino yard up to right about here. This is the next one I would need to put in. Everything else from here over is on a DS64 now, so I can actually do yard switching on this end. I can actually run trains from arrival departures onto the main and so on and so forth without having to manually, you know, use the turnouts. And before I was having push pins to hold them in place, and no more of that. I can actually control them with DS64s. So Digitrax DS64s, I think they're pretty easy to work with. They're very simple. Once you do one, the others kind of come pretty easy. I did have one that was defective. I sent it back to Digitrax. I'm just waiting on it to come back. So I just, for some reason, wouldn't throw any of the turnouts. I don't know why. I tried resetting it, tried the instructions for resetting it and reprogramming it, and it didn't work. So, but that's the that's so far what's been going on here. A lot of wiring involved with that, a lot of soldering. I'm using the Aculite boards that go on the end of the tortoises, and those tend to work pretty good. I solder onto those. That way if I ever need to move things around or when I reuse those tortoises later on, maybe if something changes, they're not permanently soldered onto the actual tortoises themselves. But as you can see, my yard's starting to fill up a little. Starting to put some cars in it. I still don't have everything up on the layout, and I probably won't ever have everything on the layout just because I think I have more than I have track space. But you can kind of see how the yard now starts to take shape, and how that yard will look once, you know, it's definitely got some nice long trains in there, and, you know, doing some switching while we're doing running trains. So that just to give you guys an idea, that cut of cars with the green center beam on the end, followed all the way down to here, with the covered hoppers down to the red high cube box cars. That's, I think, a 24 cut of 24 cars. So it kind of gives you an idea on the size of the yard. So it's definitely coming along. Definitely a nice yard now that we'll have some trains in here. And about 4 of these tracks run all the way around to, I consider this center San Bernardino, just for, you know, just for ease of, you know, location and ease of, you know, reference point on the layout. This is West San Bernardino, I call it. Got 6 more tortoises there to go in. I've also
got all the tortoises installed down here on this end. No more push pins except for that one, and that's just because the tortoise is in the wrong position. I haven't got these ones wired up yet. Working on that right now. And this is, again, West San Bernardino yard. This would be if trains were coming in from this end or coming out this end. More maintenance down this way, but there are 3 or 4 tracks that can hold cars once they're actually installed. So like the way it's looking. Again, a lot of wiring still to do under here. I've got a lot of feeders dropped under here that I need to start hooking up to the buses, and that's something I've kind of neglected to do on this end of the layout and this reversing loop here. Right now it's kind of just a few that are daisy chained together just to give me power, and I'm starting to work down this end now so I can actually get those things wired in as I go. So as I move from one section to another, I kind of just pull everything out from underneath, and then I'll hook everything up. Once I put in those tortoises, I'll wire them up to DS64s, and then my remaining bus wires that might be just dropped, feeders that are dropped, whatever, I'll hook those up to the bus wires. But that's the lower level. A lot of wiring that's been going on, a lot of tortoises. I think I put in, I want to say it was 12 or 13 down this end just in the last couple weeks. So that's the lower level for now. And this is just my junk area for now. I can kind of staging a bunch of stuff down here. Crap from cleaning out the garage and stuff sometimes ends up on the layout. But this end definitely needs some love, but we're getting there. All right, on the divorce side of the layout, the fascia continues down here. I've got a little bit more in. I haven't really done a whole lot of it. Fascia work on here. Behind this panel's all new. I had to bend it a little bit to get it to take shape. It's not permanent, but right now it's just mocked up. And then this one I still need to cut because I have a drawer here. There's an actual drawer above this one that I keep small parts and stuff like that in. So I think I'm going to modify this panel here so that I can pull that drawer out. But for the fascia, I think I'm just going to wrap the outside of the helix. I don't like the way I did my helix when it comes to like all these blocks and things. It's really tacky looking. Again, I didn't plan on keeping the helix forever. Eventually, when we move into the next house, this will become a single level layout, I think, just spread out with natural climbs throughout the layout instead of a helix. So, but for now, I'll probably wrap it, and then when the time comes, dismantle it. But I have been working along here, getting all this in, and this is just where one of my controllers goes for this turnout. DeVore, that's obviously still needs a lot of work there. That's not even actual DeVore grain elevator. That's actually just some others I had on the old layout that I've got here for now. I think at some point I'll end up scratch building or getting somebody to scratch build the cargo grain elevator that's in DeVore. So, but new fascia is installed here and remounted the UP5s. I used to have a throttle holder here. I've moved that to here. The throttle pocket is here, and then I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to have some on the inside of the layout where the lower level yard is. And I think that's better because now the throttle's out of sight and doesn't stick up above the the horizon or the fascia. So got these RPC controllers, turnout controllers reinstalled. And these are all hooked up to my 12-volt bus now, so these are good to go. I like these for the manual turnouts, so if if it's one that's controlled by the locomotive, I guess if it's one that the locomotive crew has to get out and manually change, then I'm putting these on the front of the fascia. But if it's one that the railroad controls remotely, like crossovers and things like that, I'm probably going to have just mounted or controlled by DS64s. I think that's what I ended up deciding. And then for the yard, I just wanted to do DS64s because I think in the long run it'll be easier. But I might end up throwing some turnouts, some of these in there at some point because I do like the way they look, or something similar, maybe make a panel. So I haven't decided yet. But this fascia is in and mounted for the lower level, and you can kind of see how that's looking. And more to come on fascia, a lot more fascia work to go just to clean up the layout. So got a little bit more done on the up here, and got this piece in here. And then this piece was, last time I think, was just mocked up, and I've cut it and since reinstalled it. So, but these are a little, you have to make braces and things like that. Sometimes if you don't make them as you go, like, you know, I made some braces here that would, the fascia can actually secure to. There's like one here, you can kind of see the rivet holes here, not the rivet holes, the brad nail holes that went in. And then I glue them on the back side before I put the brad nails in. And then I come back later and fill them. So I still have to fill this, but it's coming along a little bit. This is my upper area of Cajon. I haven't done a whole lot here. Still need to get in there and get that main 3 line finished and wrapped to connect with the UP line. So, but I'm kind of debating on making a change here. I won't get into it today, but I'm thinking about making a change here just because I'll tell you guys another time if I end up doing it or not. So there's something I'm considering changing on this end, and that's kind of why I haven't got too much into the finishing that UP high line just yet, and the main 3 connecting them. That, and I'm out of concrete flex track, or only have enough pieces to go so far. So, but that's the upper level down here, a little bit more progress, and then nothing down here, nothing I don't think has really changed. Oh, why do I have all these? And why do I have all these pegs? Oh, because we've started working scenery up here on the upper level. Up here at Cajon Junction, I'll take all these pegs out of your way. I've kind of started working some scenery. So I've got the UP Highline now in, at least the road bed now all the way around. And then I've started mocking up what will be the hills kind of that hide, or that are between the BNSF main 3s and the UP Highline, and then that'll eventually get covered with vegetation and rocks and things like that. Just a mock-up of the bridge I'm going to end up putting in here, and obviously the other side it'll come underneath. So, but yeah, we're starting to get got a little bored and started getting into some scenery stuff, and wanted to play around with it and test my skills again, I guess, and kind of got tired of looking at nothing. And then people were, saying, I got to get some scenery going, but you can kind of see that's one end looking from about Blue Cut down to Sullivan's Curve and Cajon Junction's there in between. So I think once we get, a lot of this scenery in, this is really gonna look good. I'm giving you guys the helicopter view right now. So hopefully you guys can see what I'm talking about. But that's where we've started working our scenery on this part of the upper level. And there's one other part, and I'll show you here in a second. This piece isn't in. This is just something I was trying. But I'm only using this cardboard lattice for like some of the smaller areas. In the very back, I'm going to end up probably using the pink foam, cut it to shape, and then drop it in and then secure it once it's painted and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's my upper level scenery from Cajon Junction down to Blue Cut. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, and I'll show you the rest here. All right, the other area is just a little bit south of, or I guess west of Blue Cut. Just working on the back side of here. I've started putting this in, and I'll go around to the other side and show you guys. So, but I'll show you guys what I've done over there. Real quick, what these are, I forgot to tell you what these pegs are for. I used to staple. You can see I staple a lot of that, and it's kind of a pain to get the stapler in here. So what I do now is I just I'll put glue underneath it, and I'm trying to do this with and then I'll just hold these together until until the glue sets, and then later on I'll just come back and take the pegs off. They don't stick to the paper or anything like that, so they're really good. You can do a lot of this cardboard lattice at once. I probably did all this here in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. So, but those come in really handy if you need a tool for helping, build your scenery, especially if it's like this cardboard lattice stuff. Use those pegs. It's a great tool for doing so. Here's another angle looking back at Cajon Junction down to Blue Cut, just from a different view. All right, I'm standing on the Devore side of my layout where Devore is, and there's that other side. You can kind of just see what I had just done. So that plaster cloth is really easy to use. It dries solid, dries hard. Doesn't really need a lot of work. You just cut strips and then you soak it in warm water. I do like maybe 2 at a time. Get them nice and wet, and then just lay it over your cardboard lattice, and you can kind of smooth it out, shape it, and it really comes out nice and hard, as you can see here. It doesn't even move. So if you've never used that stuff before, it's really good. You can buy the Walters stuff. I think it's not Walters, Woodland Scenics. You can buy that stuff. It's a little pricey, I think, but if you can find plaster cloth online. This is, I think, medical grade, and not medical grade. I guess it is medical grade. I bought a 12 pack. Let me grab one. I'm trying to do this while holding the camera. I bought a 12 pack craft wrap, is what these ones are called. I think they were $6 each, or a 12 pack for $29. So do the math. I mean, it's definitely a good deal to buy it in bulk if you have a lot of layout to cover. So hope that helps. But that's kind of what we've been up to. So hope you guys enjoy. I know it's not a whole lot, but it's still, keeps, updates keep coming. So we're slowly moving along. And as, all this stuff takes time, you have to cut the cardboard and glue it together, tack it in place, let it set, and then you have to go back, and it all adds up. All the wiring, when you add a DS64, you have to modify the existing LocoNet cable. You have to, wire it into your 12-volt bus, and then you have to run your feeders or not your feeders, but your wires from that to each tortoise. So all takes time, and it's definitely coming along. I mean, this layout's just a little over 2 years old, so it's definitely come a long way in 2 years, and look forward to more progress. So hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe out there, and hopefully we'll get another update before the end of the year. All right, take care.
Hey everyone. Hey, so I got a lot of train clips for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and partition this into 2 separate videos. So part 1 will be just the layout update, and then part 2, or the second video, will be like just the train operations. So if there's some things in video 1 that reference clips later on in the video and they're not there, it's obviously in video number 2. So appreciate it. Hope you check them both out. Take care.